mouth is when I'm ocean waves.
Today on Nova Legends podcast, I have Washington Liberty defensive tackle, our defensive lineman, Elijah Hughes, who just completed another great basketball season for Washington Liberty and is headed to USC to play football next year. Elijah, nice to meet you. Thanks for doing this.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Oh, of course. Well, I'm going to give you the broad sketches of your great career thus far. A lot left to do. You were heavily recruited defensive lineman going to USC. Like I said, this year you had 331 tackles, 33 and a half sacks, I believe 3 TDs. You were the district player of the year, Liberty district player of the year, Northern Region player of the year, defensive player of the year or player of the year.
Defensive player of the year.
Defensive player of the year. You had 20 offers. I know UVA, Tech, many great schools. Signing with USC. Plan on majoring in business at this point. And besides basketball and football, you also throw the shot and discus in track and field. Did I get most of that right, Elijah?
Yeah. I think the statistics probably were career statistics, but that's what you're talking about. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, got it. Yeah, that must have been the last 2 years. So yeah. Well, first of all, I want to briefly shout out your late teammate Braylon Meade. You guys did a great job honoring him and his parents this year. I know it was a very tough season for you guys. Unfortunately, he was, for folks who don't know, he was killed in a car accident and really close to where I'm sitting right now. Let me ask you this year: was it tough to play basketball this year, or was it almost like a relief to be able to play basketball and honor him and his family? What were your emotions playing basketball this year after his unfortunate passing?
I would say it definitely put things into perspective. Like before game, now the biggest thing wasn't, what happens at the game. It was bigger than basketball. And I think for a lot of guys, it was good to honor him by playing the season, but it was definitely tough. Especially at the beginning of the season, it threw a wrench in kind of everything because he was such a great leader and such a big part of the team. His presence was greatly missed, but it was good to honor him by playing and kind of play the whole season for him.
Yeah, it seemed like later in the year you guys finally got into your rhythm, and the Washington Liberty team that was predicted to really be one of the top teams in the area. I felt like late in the year you guys finally got your rhythm and you were back again.
Yeah, that we hit a stride. I think we won like 9 of 10 games towards the end of the regular season, and we got on a roll. And it looked a little bit like last year. We did something similar, but it was great. I mean, when you're finally in a flow, it's completely different, and that was pretty fun.
Yeah, it was great. We'll get back to your basketball. So was it a difficult decision to play basketball? A lot of great players now, football players, once they signed, a lot of them are going to school early. I know Tony Rojas did. I see this all over the country now, and I think it's unfortunate because I'm a big believer in multi-sport athletes like yourself. Did you get pressure to start thinking about football and not basketball? And what was your mindset about playing basketball?
Yeah, there was definitely a little bit of pressure to do that, but ultimately, I've been playing with these guys since like 5th grade, and I wasn't gonna give up my opportunity to finish my senior season of basketball. I mean, I love basketball so much, and it would kill me to give up my senior year. And I was also told by some older guys who've kind of been through it a little bit more football wise, and they told me that you're going to be here 4 or 5 years anyway. Just enjoy the rest of your high school experience because ultimately it tends to even out, although it's definitely a head start to enroll early. But yeah, so I wasn't going to give up my senior basketball season.
Yeah, I think you got some very, very good advice. The memories of that double overtime win over at Yorktown this year. You only go to high school once. That was a very special night for you. My son and daughter are Yorktown folks, so it wasn't so great for me. But those memories that you have, those high school games in front of a packed house, those will be with you for the rest of your life.
No, absolutely. I actually remember vividly that game. Yorktown was doing their introduction, and I was just looking around like this is so cool. Like a packed house, it's all dark, and yeah, very memorable, definitely.
Yeah, and they had the ESPN guys in the front row pretending like
yeah.
It was a great environment. I mean, it was a memorable night. I really enjoyed that game, and
Yeah.
I thought that game really helped get you guys going in the right direction. That was a big win. If you'd lost that game, you wouldn't have been able to get second in the district. I just think it would have made things a lot tougher for you in the postseason.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely. I think that was the first. We'd been in a lot of close games, and I think we lost every one up to that point. But then winning that kind of gave us confidence. I feel like that rolled over.
Yeah. What kind of see? I grew up. Me and Bobby Dobson, we grew up playing basketball and football against each other, and I got the best of them in little leagues because I played for a huge club. I was Braddock Road, and he was James Lee, which was a small club near in Falls Church, and he was a great player and he had some good teammates. We just had a much bigger club, so we were competitors from a very young age, and I used to referee his games. So Bobby and I are good friends. He speaks the world of you. What kind of coach is Bobby? What kind of things did you learn from him?
No, I love Coach Dobson. He's great. He's passionate. If you've been at any games, you see him. He's always he's high energy, and he always has our team's back, his players back, and he gave me a lot of advice. I think one big thing, he had a lot of conversations with me and with other players, and he kind of just gave me the green light at some point throughout the season and gave me the confidence to just kind of play loose and kind of trust my instincts, and that was huge for me personally. And yeah, I mean, do the normal coaching stuff, game planning, and strategy, but just a great emotional leader, definitely.
No, he definitely is. Do you think playing basketball helps your football? Like so this year, I definitely. I mean, it's obvious over a long period of time the nimbleness and things that you have to demonstrate on basketball is going to help you in football. But you think at this point, like you playing basketball, does it still help your football? The conditioning and the competitiveness that you get. You think it's still helpful?
I think it is helpful. I think the footwork, it helps with footwork. It might help. I think it helps with coordination and maybe a little bit of quickness, maybe a little bit of athleticism, conditioning, and yeah, and I think it's a great way to switch things up. So I can really appreciate football more because I'm not doing it the whole year because I'll have basketball, and then I appreciate basketball more because I'm doing other sports. But obviously that's going to change. But I think it'll be different. But yeah, no, I think it is. It was very helpful for football.
Are you doing track and field this spring?
Yeah.
Okay. And you're 100% gung ho about track and field like you are football and basketball?
Yeah. I really like the team in track and field, the shot put and discus people, and I'll go to all the practices. It's a little different because we have a plan for USC, like a strength and conditioning plan. So maybe sometimes we'll be doing some workout. I'll be off to the side on the field doing something else. But overall, yeah, I'll go to all the meets, and I'm excited. This week was our first week, and it was pretty fun.
One thing that's it's evident is that where you live, if you attend Washington Lee, there are a lot of private schools you can easily get to, and especially for football. I mean, you have some of the best football teams in the country that I'm sure would love to have you play. Were you ever tempted to go to private school just because of those opportunities?
Um, there was like a small period of time, a short period of time, where I was kind of thinking about it, but I don't think it was ever a real consideration. Just because I think basketball played a big role in it. If I went to a private school, I probably wouldn't be able to play basketball. But then also Coach Shapiro, I'd known him for a while. He coached my older brother, and I had all my friends at Washington Liberty, and it was close to home. And I'd also seen that there were a few cases. I mean, I guess I was looking some stuff up, and it's like, I mean, these people, they hadn't their school. They didn't go to a private school, but they were still able to get recruited. And once I got my first offer, I was like, okay, this is realistic. This is possible. So yeah, just stuck with it, and definitely don't regret it.
Well, Washington Liberty, struggled a bit at times. Your football record wasn't always the best. Does that play any role? I mean, if you're a prospect like yourself and the team is struggling, I mean, football, one person can only do so much. You got to have, a pretty solid roster to win a lot of games, competitive environment. Is it tough on development as well when the team might be going through some struggles?
I think my junior year was a little bit difficult because we couldn't find a way to win a lot of times, and that's definitely tough because losing sucks. But it, during that season especially, I realized that I need to focus on my own goals, and I mean, not to be selfish, but there are other things I can focus on, like every play, just try to make a play. That can kind of, yeah. I guess I worked on making personal goals, and trying to achieve those.
Yeah, I mean, that's not being selfish.
Yeah. Yeah.
But well, did you ever think about the fact that you're such a really good football player? If you didn't play football, what you could have accomplished in basketball? I mean, look, you're 6'3", 6'4" post player, so obviously you don't have the upside that you have in football. But I mean, you couldn't really probably focus on AAU very often past a certain age. Did you ever think about what kind of basketball player you could have been if it wasn't for football?
Yeah, it's fun to think about. I think I have to develop a jump shot first, but I need to change my whole form up. But basketball is such a fun sport that, yeah, it'd be cool to play basketball as far as I could play as well. But again, I think I've had like 3 jump shots this year. I'm not sure that would translate to college unless I grew 5-6 inches. But yeah.
Yeah, Aiden Billings made a big 3-pointer the other night down at Westfield for South Lake. So maybe there was hope for you if you would have shot a few more of those. Well, let's go back a little bit. Do you come from an athletic family? I've seen your father around the games. He looks like a jock himself.
Yeah, he played college football. He played at Air Force Academy.
Okay.
Back in the 80s. So I would say that. And my mom, she's a runner. And my older brother, he's at Virginia Tech as a walk-on the football team. So I would say I come from a pretty athletic family.
So you probably had no choice. You were going to get involved in sports at a pretty young age.
Yeah, that's fair to say. Although my dad was really good at not putting pressure and not forcing us to play sports, and he kind of like convinced us that we wanted to play, not that he wanted us to play, and he did a really good job with that. And yeah, if anything, it was my older brother who would pressure me to play. Um,
Mhm.
yeah, I remember seventh grade. It was my first year tackling football, and I wasn't a big fan of it as a little cornerback. But my older brother kept me from quitting, kept me from or convinced me to do it the next year as well, and I'm glad he did that.
Well, like all Arlington kids, did you play soccer first with your kindergarten class, and that's how it all started, and then you got over to basketball and football?
Actually, yeah, probably. I remember playing like yeah, very little league soccer with like the flag poles for the goals.
Yeah.
That was pretty fun. And then I think I went into like t-ball and then basketball, Saturday morning basketball.
Yeah.
Um, and then yeah,
Well, did you always know you were going to be good? I mean, since most kids with older brothers, they tend to have a bit of an advantage over kids without older siblings. So were you always pretty good in these sports once you tried them?
I not always. As I said, football seventh grade, I was probably one of the worst players on the team. I'd pretend to get blocked so I wouldn't have to make the tackle when they'd run outside. I was just I was a mess. But and I remember basketball early on. I was really big, but I couldn't do anything. So and in baseball, I don't remember a whole lot. Yeah, but it definitely helped having an older brother because I could see what he was going through and he'd give me advice and yeah.
What kind of turned the tables for you in basketball? What, was it a coach or was it a camp or did you just develop? When did you become a pretty good basketball player?
I think that's a great question.
Mhm.
There's probably two turning points in my mind. Um, when I made my first travel team. No, I guess that there was a summer or a spring where I did an AAU team, and that coach really kind of helped develop my game a lot. And then from there, I made a travel team in the winter, and that gave me confidence. That gave me a lot of confidence, and I was like, okay, all right, maybe I'm decent, and um, that's when I played basketball more seriously from that point on. And then in high school, it was some point in my junior year. What game was it? There was a certain game where I kind of just, you know, just let loose, I guess, and just kind of did my thing. And I realized that okay, I can be more than just get rebounds and score a few putbacks. And Dobson also gave me confidence as well, like I said. Um, so yeah, those are the 2 points I would say.
Who are your like earliest heroes in basketball? Who'd you see on TV or in person and try to emulate?
Mm. Well, I wouldn't say I tried to emulate him, but one of my favorite players for a while was John Wall.
Yeah, yeah.
I really liked
You play just like him.
I wish, but yeah. But I like Shaq a lot. He's it's I like his game.
Yeah. I told Bobby with you in basketball, if you can stay out of foul trouble, you're gonna be a very hard guy to stop in the fourth quarter. But if you're in foul trouble, it seems like it kind of changes the way you have to play because you're such a big guy. You know, any collision sometimes is going to be blamed on you. So I felt like you had to stay out of foul trouble early, and it was always going to be good news for Washington and Liberty.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. Took some adjusting this season. I feel like at the start of the year I would get in a lot of foul trouble, but then I got to a point where I could avoid the fouls, and maybe they kind of we would get similar refs. So if they saw me multiple times, they kind of um, adjust how they call it, and maybe give me a little bit of come me a little slack because there's a lot of I would say a lot of flopping. Um,
Yeah, exactly.
taking charges and everything, so they wouldn't call it every time. But yeah.
Yeah, I always notice like you're very careful in how you throw your weight around. I mean, when you're around a basketball court, like if you watch Aiden Billings play, another big player, he'll throw his weight around. If he runs over someone, you better get out of the way. You're always careful not to do that in the court. I always felt when you played, you're very respectful of the fact that you're a big dude, and you do try to play within the rule book.
Mhm. Yeah, and that's probably come from too many charges and just yeah. So
Exactly.
it's been what's the word? I've been trained by the refs and Coach Dobson.
Yeah, you finally adjusted. Well,
Yeah.
what about football? Who are some of your first heroes and your role models in football?
Mm. I mean, I like JJ Watt. He's one of my favorite players, I would say. Chase Young, weirdly enough,
Yeah.
I like watching him. I'm a Commanders fan. Um, and other than that, I remember I used to be a big Kirk Cousins guy, but
Yeah.
I wouldn't say I don't really care for him much anymore. But yeah,
Yeah, he got better when he left. It seemed like he got better when he left us. So I
yeah,
don't, yeah. Yeah, I'm not sure what happened. Well, in football, big guys sometimes are kind of hamstrung in little league because of your weight, you got to play with much older players, much older players who are, I guess they're lighter, but they're older. Did that happen to you? Did you play when you were little league? Did you end up playing with older kids?
Um, my parents didn't let me play till seventh grade, and they did it by weight class. I just made the 130 pounds, so I was the lightest in my weight class.
Hmm.
I would say I was about the same age, but there were older kids and on the other teams because they wouldn't in their districts they couldn't play high school football in eighth grade. Um, but yeah, no, I was definitely a lot smaller um, back then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's talk about your high school football career. So when you went to Washington Liberty, were you on varsity as a freshman? Did you come right in and play a lot?
I was a big moment for me when my brother told me that Coach Shapiro wanted me for the varsity team. That was yeah, that was a super fun season as well. It was amazing.
Washington Liberty. So my son played soccer for Yorktown. He's at college now. He's first year college, but Washington Liberty is our huge rival. So Yorktown and Washington Liberty, those soccer games are incredible. And both stadiums, Yorktown and Washington Liberty, are beautiful stadiums. And yours, especially, you're on the major road there on Washington Boulevard there. It must be an amazing feeling to play football in that stadium.
It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
The night games there are awesome. I love them.
Exactly. So why'd you decide to go to USC? I know you had lots of options. So what was your thought process about choosing USC?
Yeah, I'd say out of all the schools, um, it was the best combination of level of football and academics, and that's kind of what I ultimately decided upon. I went down there in the fall, took a visit, and I love the campus, and the coach is really great. Both the defensive coaches and the head coach. And then I talked to some players. I thought we got along pretty well, and yeah, it was a tough decision, but ultimately, yeah.
Right. Did you mentioned your coach earlier, Coach Shapiro, and of course your parents. Did you talk to were they involved in the decision process? Because it's a lot to think about for a young man.
Yeah, no, Shapiro was definitely involved. I would talk to him probably once a week about it. And my parents, definitely my brothers, and yeah.
Yeah. It's such an amazing place. It's you the California schools, UCLA, USC, they weren't that difficult to get into when I was coming up. I mean, they were challenging, but they're almost impossible to get into. I mean, a lot of kids would love to go to school there. So it's pretty awesome that your football ability is going to get you into such an amazing campus.
Yeah, no, I'm super fortunate. Super fortunate about that.
Yeah. So now look, now USC, I was reading up on this. It looks like you're going to have an opportunity to play first year. At least you're going to be in competition for playing time. Um, how does it work now? Do the majority of kids have to redshirt now first year, and they work on their bodies, get bigger, get adjusted to campus, or at these schools now are kids playing right away?
You see some kids play right away. It's not unheard of, but yeah, it's definitely a big adjustment getting used to the speed of the game and the size and everything. I mean, I've heard. I haven't gone through it yet, but yeah, no, it's. I'll see how it plays out, and I yeah, I think it's some kids. Well, I've seen it where kids will they'll get in a little bit, but not much. But they'll burn their redshirt year. So I'm trying to be smart about that. But we'll get there. I guess we'll get there.
Yeah.
So,
Well, this is great, Elijah. Well, last question. Tomorrow night, Hayfield is playing South Lakes in the state semifinals. Who's your pick? Who's your pick for that game? I don't think you played against Hayfield a lot this year, but who would be your pick? You played against them last year. Who would be your pick in that game?
I don't know a whole lot about Hayfield this year. I remember they were pretty good last year. South Lakes is a good team, though. They're disciplined. They have some good players. I think it would be a really good game. If I were to put money, I'd probably bet on Hayfield, but I think South Lakes has a very good chance.
Yeah. It's going to be a lot of fun. Well, look, Elijah, you had a great career. You always handled yourself with such poise, dignity. You played really hard. Coaches are in the area really have a lot of respect for you. And it's always great when our best athletes stay in the public schools. They play 3 sports. I mean, you're definitely a throwback to a different time of athlete. So it's great to see your success. And obviously your parents and your coaches, Coach Shapiro, Coach Dobson, did a great job with you. So I'm very happy for your success, and I can't wait to follow you at the next level.
Well, I appreciate it. Appreciate the kind words, and thank you for this great interview.
Yeah, well, great. Well, look, Elijah, it's great talking to you, and hopefully I'll see you at a game, or I'll see you soon.
Perfect.
Okay. Take care, buddy. All righty.